Hey y'all, my name is Shan. Welcome to Cozy Womb Podcast. This is a series for Black fathers because Black fathers matter. Black fathers matter to me. Black fathers matter to my children. Black fathers matter when it comes to my brothers, my mentors, my friends. They matter because they set the tone for who our children look up to. They set the tone for how men, women, children, and other elderly people feel protected, feel like, everything they've struggled for was for a good cause because they've seen who they've become. And I want to, I just want to shine a light on them and hear from them in a perspective that sometimes goes unheard because no one cares to ask. Sometimes people look at fathers as if, oh, that's nothing. They're supposed to do that. Why would we, thank you for doing something you're automatically supposed to do? You shouldn't look for any, praise or any thank yous for that. That's standard. That's the basics. Do what you're supposed to do. But when you have a father that's there, that's consistent, that's available, that's attentive, that's caring, that's thoughtful, versus an absent father, versus a father that thinks his life and his now is more important than the child's future. There's a difference. There's a clear difference. And I just want to show appreciation. So this series, I've interviewed many fathers from different places, different backgrounds. And I really just want to pick their brains with different questions. So thank you for listening to Cozy Womb Podcast, and I hope you enjoy.
What's going on, y'all? It's your girl, Lady J, creator of #4BrownGirls blog. The content of my post is to educate, uplift, support, and empower Black women who struggle with anxiety and depression. If you can relate to this, then please head over to 4browngirlsblog.com and read my post. While you're there, make sure to leave a comment and share on your social media too. If it's one thing I want you to get from my blog, is that I believe in you and you are not alone.
Here we go.
Back to the show. Welcome back, guys. This is Cozy Womb Podcast. We have episode 17, Black Fathers Matter. And we have Daddy Jada. How are you, Sty?
Hey, what's going on?
Good.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Couldn't leave you out of here. And so you got a kiddo. Or can I call him that?
I do.
Is he a kiddo?
Well, I have I have a 7-year-old 4-legged, and okay. I have a 19-year-old 2-legged.
Okay. Which one's easier?
Which one is easier? Definitely the 4-legged one. The 4-legged one, you just keep them. The 2-legged one, you actually have to raise them.
Oh, man.
Yeah, big difference.
Where were you born?
I was born in Atlanta. I was raised in New Orleans, though. New Orleans is my home. That's all I know. That's all I know is New Orleans, yeah. My feet first touched the ground in Atlanta, though. Fulton County.
Okay. Listen. What age are you currently?
I'm sorry?
What age are you currently?
What age am I currently?
Yes. Don't lie.
That's a good question. No. I'm 38. I'm
38.
Although I feel a lot younger.
How much younger do you feel?
Oh, man, I feel like 23, 24. My knees don't pop, all that.
Your knees don't pop, my knees pop. Okay, pop,
No,
lock
I
it.
do all the new dances. I know all
Listen.
the new stuff. I'm hip.
Okay, well that's good. Um, all right. So you ready for these questions?
I
First,
guess about as ready as I can be.
first question for you is a fill in the blank, or you can elaborate. My favorite thing about being a dad who doesn't look like a dad is.
The reactions I get when I'm with my son. So when his friends meet me and we're playing basketball or stuff like that, no one ever believes that I'm his father. They're always like, "What?" Or if he says "dad," and they're just like, "What? That's your dad?"
Yeah.
You know, I was at the gym one day, and he was like maybe like 16 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, "Well, but since he's a minor, we're going to need his father. We're going to need his parent with him." I'm like, "Well, I'm his father." And
Yeah.
the girl looks at me, doesn't believe me. She's like, "Well, do you have some paper to show that?" And so I love the fact that I look like I'm his roommate.
Oh man. Do you get carded?
No, I don't look that young.
Okay.
I get mad that I don't anymore. I wish I still did.
I uh I had an experience where I got mad that a girl didn't card me. I said, well, wait a minute. Was she assuming or was she like, I don't care? So
Might have
it's
been
kind
throwing shade. She thinks she
that's
cute.
what
I'm
I
like,
felt
yeah,
like in the parking lot. I had to check myself. I said, wait a minute. Um, you know, I might redeem myself with her. Next question for you is explain what fatherhood means to you.
fatherhood for me. Um, One day you wake up and and you're here. You're in a world that you didn't choose to be in, and there's a system already running. And for me, fatherhood is using the experience and all of the memories of making bad decisions to help this new creature who this whole new system is new to them, to avoid some of those mistakes, avoid some of those bad decisions, um, be encouraged when things get difficult. This thing that we call existence is confusing at times, and for me, fatherhood is a system that was set in place, to give us, guidance, encouragement, things of the sort, protection. And so, for me, fatherhood is a integral part of of existence.
What parts of your personality do you see in your son?
Both of us are kind of low energy. Both of us are like really, really low energy, really chill, and so when we have like arguments, it's just like us being passive at each other, and to the point to where we just like might even burst with laughter, because we have to be direct at some point, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But we're really low energy. He thinks a lot like I do, really analytical.
Mm-hmm.
He loves science, he loves math. He wants to do aeronautics. He's taking under his basic courses right now, but he wants to do aeronautics.
Nice.
And so, yeah, I was in engineering before I screwed that up. So that's where the whole experience comes into play.
Okay, you got Mr. Brain and Junior Brain. I see. What was your dad like growing up?
My dad,
Mm-hmm.
um, I I only remember meeting my dad a handful of times.
Mm-hmm.
I think the most that I spent with him was like going to a couple of parades with him. Maybe when I was like 12 or 13, he came down from Mardi Gras,
Yeah.
and in the couple of weeks that he had came down from Mardi Gras, he came and took me to like a parade on one day and another parade on another day or something. Spent a couple of hours with me, but I really didn't get a chance to meet him until I was 26, 27.
Oh
Was when
wow.
I got the really chance to get to know him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I never really got that fathering growing up. I had mentors in the church and stuff, but I was the one that was trying to figure it out on my own.
That's what I was gonna ask you. Is like, who was your father example?
Um, all of the old guys that talk nasty when they were sitting on the porch when we were kids, all the drug dealers that talk about money, the
Mhm.
mentors in the church that would sit there and spend time with us. So when I was in those youth groups and stuff like that, there were a lot of different men that I saw and different qualities and different men that I would respect and things of the sort. But I never really had like an uncle or cousin or a big brother. I never really had anybody that was there like being there with me or anything like that. It wasn't until I was in my 20s and I was serving the community that I got into a mentorship program and had some, some rich guys to really pour into me. Some rich guys I couldn't relate to, you know.
That's good though. Usually, when young men don't have like that dad figure, they kind of like shun anyone that could possibly be a dad figure to the side because they kind of feel like, since I don't have one, I don't need one. But that's good that you had those people around.
I never really had a lot of animosity or like ill feelings toward the man that I never met or never knew, or
Mhm.
even the position of that. I never really had any ill feelings toward that. It was just something that I didn't have. I grew up poor. We didn't have access to a lot of things.
Mhm.
And so I just I never really was, mad about it. And so I never really rejected when people would, correct me about things or try to put me on game with stuff.
Hmm. Absorbing information as usual. Um, Being that that was your experience, how did you formulate who you wanted to be as a father?
Initially it was that I wanted to give my son what I never had. My
Mhm.
son was born when I was 19. So I was far from mature when he was born. I had no idea what anything was. And so I wanted to give him this idea of this thing that I never had, but I didn't know what it was. And so if I don't know what it is, there's no way that I could really give it. So as he was in school age, and as he was growing up and moving toward puberty, that's when I really started to like mature as a man.
Mhm.
You know? And so it was by the time he was actually probably about like he was in puberty by the time I really started getting my understanding of what manhood was together. And
So you
which
guys was
made
just
me in my 30s before I started to grow up. Yep. This is true.
y'all was learning together.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
are there things you wish you'd done differently as a dad?
Oh man, almost every year of his life, from things from I can think of things in the delivery room that I would have done differently. All types of things I wish I would have done differently, and
Like
even up to
what?
recently.
Give me some.
In the delivery room, I was about to cut the umbilical cord, and his grandmother said, "Oh, can I cut the umbilical cord?" And I said, "Yes." I wish I wouldn't have done that, you
Uh-huh.
know. And then the most recent was we were playing basketball, and I haven't said his name, so I'm not going to embarrass him. But he got frustrated on the court, and he expressed his frustration and with some tears on the court.
Mhm.
And I handled it poorly. I handled it incorrectly. I handled it badly. And yeah, I wish I could go back and handle that a little more gently and encourage him to express his frustration, instead of encouraging him to give a certain image,
Mm.
because of who might be watching. And like I said, from the delivery room, which was day one, up until even here recently, and then all in between, there's tons of things that I did wrong, that I wish I could go back and make better,
Mm.
that I wish he felt more comfortable talking to me about. So I mean, I don't know, maybe I'll get it right with the next kid.
Maybe.
That was
Do
a
you do you ever talk to him about what you just said? Like after the situation happens, do you ever come back to him and be like, you know what? I feel like I messed up X, Y, and Z. I could have did this way. Or is it like an experience you hope to
yeah.
do the next time? So you guys have that conversation.
No, I talk to him. I talk to him. He knows that I'm emotional. I'm a water sign. He's a water sign. You know, I'm a Cancer. He's a Scorpio. We're like a third of the way away from each other on the zodiac wheel, and we really, you know, mesh really well. He understands where I'm coming from. So I am proudly vulnerable before him when I don't mind at all telling him, hey, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I did that. I did that incorrectly. I did that wrongly. You know what I'm saying? So we have those conversations, and sometimes they're difficult, and sometimes they're too deep. We want to talk about things that we have trouble talking about, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we do, and I don't mind sharing with them.
It's good. Does your son eat knowledge like you?
Eat knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a bookworm. He loves to learn and loves to get into things. Whenever he finds something that he's interested in, he goes in head first. And so he wants to find out all of the workings of it, you know.
That's good.
Like most kids, they play video games and they want to play the game. He wants to understand the mechanics and the physics of the game and stuff like that. And so
You got lucky. You looked up. um,
and luck is work.
that part. Do you think fathers today have it better or worse compared to what you saw growing up?
I would have to say worse, just the simple fact that the propaganda that we're fed from an early age creates an atmosphere in the society that doesn't allow for men to have the types of relationships that are really conducive to those bonds that the father and son, you know, used to have, you know. And so we really condition ourselves and our society and our children away from being touched by our fathers and being held by our fathers and being consoled by our fathers, and we kind of like, you know, save those things for our mothers. I think I have to speak specifically with the Black community. And I have to say that there's something that is specifically in the Black community that is moving away, that is conditioning us to see nurture is coming only from the mother, to the point of coddling and just seeing men as brash. And I know that men and women love differently. I know that women give life when they love, and men take it away when they love, you know. And men are the ones who are removing the weeds and the pests from the garden. They kill with their love. But that's not to say that that we don't need to be intimate with our fathers and our sons. Having been a 19-year-old father and having been a father of a 19-year-old, men need their fathers. Not just boys, not just babies, but men need their fathers. And so we need to really, you know, condition our boys to understand that we're always going to be in a place of need for each other. So yeah, I think that just the conditioning in the media, the music, the TVs, all of this propaganda makes it a little bit more difficult for fathers today to have those relationships that are necessary.
I agree. It's sort of like, you know, your son turns a certain age and now You're supposed to shove him into the world, not like guide him into the world. Just shove him, and you're a man now. And it doesn't have to be that way. With other cultures, it's not that way. But with us, it's very like, let him stand up on his own too. Let him, hurt himself a little bit so he can get it. And it doesn't have to be that way. So I agree.
It's almost as if we were a nation of people within a nation that were conditioned to see ourselves as less than, and then psychologically had gender roles reversed for the purpose of systemic oppression for generations to come, if I didn't know any better.
I don't have nothing to say after that. What brings you the most peace?
What brings me the most peace?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question.
I know being a father to a Black man in the United States that isn't united isn't the easiest, but with everything going on with you and with your son, like, what brings you the most peace with that?
I think that's a good question, because I think I've been focused for a while on what has been causing me unrest and not what's really been causing me peace. So my son was with me for spring break a couple months ago, and we used to play chess together a few years ago. But here lately I've been getting into it deep, and my son decided to pick it up and start playing again. And throughout the day, as we would, just hanging out and stuff like that, he'd be playing the chess game, and he'll come back and he'll show me the chess game that he just played. I don't know if that's peace, but I know that's joy when he comes to me and expresses interest in something that I'm genuinely interested in. I know that makes the world calm for a second, for at least for a little bit.
Yeah.
I think what would give me peace as a whole is knowing that my son is growing up in a world and in a community and in a society that celebrates his strengths and his differences, and covers his weaknesses. And so socially we got a lot of work to do. But that might just be wishful thinking.
I mean, we can hope and dream, can't we? We just got to do the work with that.
And yeah, we just got to do the work along with it.
How does your son show you appreciation?
He verbally, he likes to give me verbal compliments. If I think about those 5 love languages, he likes to say nice things. He likes to say things that make me feel good. He likes to show his teachers and stuff like that. Whenever he has a male intelligent teacher that he respects, he loves to show them that he can Google his father. He can Google his father's name and come up. One day he came home from school and he was telling me that the teacher asked him, what their favorite food was, and he said, anything my dad cooks. And those types of things that he says, they make me feel good. I can think about him being in a car seat, and I remember, him being in a car seat, less than 2 years old, and I'm like, and he's in the car seat, he's like, Dad, you know what? You're the greatest. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he just told me that. That just warmed my heart,
Right.
And he was living with his grandmother, and I go over there and I go drop him off. And before I can even tell her what happened, she said, he's so sweet. One day he told me, he said, Mama, you're the greatest. And I said,
She took your thunder.
sour. Well, no, you ain't the greatest. You're the second greatest. Like,
Oh man.
but, he loves to give me verbal compliments. So he shows me. Yeah, he tells me. He tells me, appreciates me. He says things that make me feel good.
That's good. So you get a reminder frequently.
Right.
All right, I got a fill in the blank for you. All dads
Okay.
must show their sons these 3 things. What are they?
All dads must show their sons these 3 things. Can I say 4?
Yes.
How to be physically healthy. How to be emotionally aware. How to be spiritually productive, and how to think critically. And I can't say 3. I would have to say 4. Because those are things that I stress in a very structured way. And most of the time when I teach him things, I show him those things in one of those 4 categories. And the 4 areas of life that it's necessary that we take this newbie, this person who has never been in the world before and has never existed and never has seen these things, and we set them up for success.
I agree.
And so we have to be able to think critically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have to be able to think critically. We have to be able to be spiritually productive. We have to be emotionally aware. And if you're not physically healthy, you're going to die. So all 4 of those things are equally important.
Right. And I like that you put the physical one first, because I think even if you're a helpful person, a lot of helpful people put themselves last physically, and then you can't help nobody. So I agree.
Right.
I like that. How was your Father's Day?
How was my Father's Day?
Yep.
Depression.
Why?
Because my mother didn't call me, and I know we're not doing this interview for me to do self-promotion. It's to help somebody out there. So I don't mind being transparent. But yeah, over my life, I don't feel as though my mother has respected me as a father.
Mm-hmm.
And so and when she doesn't call me for Father's Day, that kind of exacerbates that feeling.
Do you feel like it's a reason behind it, or is it just like you guys are just not close as you should be?
Well, the thing is, I didn't, like I said, I didn't begin to mature until like I was 27 was when I started to grow up. So like I said, I didn't start to grow up until I was like 26 or 27.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom kicked me out when I was 19. And so my mother wasn't there when I was maturing or when I was growing up. And, I don't think she ever saw me as being any more mature as the last time she had to get rid of me.
That's unfortunate, because I feel like if she knew how you are now as a father, that would be like obsolete. I just feel like.
Yeah, but the prophet is.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say a prophet is without honor in his hometown. So.
I just feel like dads just need the space to develop their daddom, if that makes sense. Like, when you're a mom, you the moment you find out you're pregnant, you're a mom. You have to do mom-like things. You gotta take care of yourself. You gotta go to doctor's appointments. You gotta have strangers between your legs. And Then you give birth, right? You give birth, and now like you gotta put in like physical work outside yourself for you and this baby, and you gotta keep this baby safe. But there's an instant connection because the things that that child was doing inside you, you're automatically connected with it, right? But then
Right.
you guys don't become fathers until you mentally hear, some of you mentally hear, I'm pregnant. And then you go through the months, some of you, and then labor happens, and then you see the baby in the physical. And then now you have to physically connect with the baby. You gotta like emotionally connect with the baby. So we get a head start. So it's only fair that you get the respectable space to allow that bond to happen. Because if I spend more time with my kids and their dad spends like less time with their kids, it's easy to wake up, do whatever you're doing wherever you're at, and not think, let me call my kid and say good morning. Let me see if my kid ate breakfast. Let me see if my kid has what they need for school or X, Y, and Z. It's not that much of a connection. But then when you are an involved parent, I feel like it's a lot easier. You don't really have to explain the responsibility and the connection. So y'all just need y'all space to grow, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the drawback of how young some of us become fathers too. So
Yeah.
we're not even in a place to do that. Because even after he was born and I was walking around with him and I'm sitting there spending. I remember buying $100 Fat Farm outfit for him, and I put it on him, and then maybe the next week when I tried to put him on him again, it was too small.
Yes.
And so look at you. Yes, like we've been there.
Listen,
You know?
I was just there 2 weeks ago when, Ian's dad, who is younger than me, wanted to spend $200 and something on some sneakers. I'm just like, sir, I will fly to come slap you. No. So it's a different mentality. You learn over time.
Yeah. Well, we got to grow into it.
Yeah.
It's a different love.
Yeah, I had to tell him, I'm just like, sir, the only thing that you can do for me is doing for your children. And when I say your children, I'm talking about mine, I'm talking about his other two, like that's it. And put yourself in a better position, because if he's not in a good position, you're letting your kids down. So it's kind of like, I'm not wishing anything bad to happen to you, but you do need your space to grow. So this year was the first year out of the 6 years that I told him Happy Father's Day. And he gave me a thank you and a cuss out at the same time. Oh man. But
What took you so long?
What took me so long is because he was dilly-dallying and he didn't step up in like responsibility and consistency and time until this past year. And I just felt like he deserved it. So that's why I told him. But it was interesting. Can you give some advice to a new dad that will go a long way?
Some advice to a new dad that will go a long way.
Yes.
Put on your own oxygen mask before assisting others. And everything that you ever want to instill in that child, encourage in that child, embed in that child, whatever you want in that child, put it in you, and put it in you until it's overflowing. And that's the way that it gets into the child. It can be frustrating for us as external beings, as males, like you were saying, the internal sexuality of mothers and the way that the reproduction system works, that it's different for us as males being external. We want to, when something's broken, we hit it, we blow on it, and we want it to be fixed, and yeah, step outside of your masculinity, and really use humility instead of strength or intellect or whatever you want to try to get this child to understand. Just put it in yourself. If you want them to wash your hands, then wash your hands. You don't get them to wash their hands by telling them to wash their hands or encouraging them to wash their hands or buying them a video on washing your hands. You have to wash your hands, and then they do it because they see it as normal. So you set up what's normal, and you put that in you and let that exude and overflow from you, and you get everything you want.
Be that example. I like it. This is a futuristic question. Not trying to turn you into grandpa just yet. What do you want your son to say about you when he describes you to your grandkids?
What I want him to say about me? I want him to say that I still look young.
Oh man.
I think I say a lot. I think I say a lot, and I try to teach him a lot and give him a lot of information, but I know some of the core lessons that I tried to teach him. If anything that he could say about me, that I was, born poor, uneducated, had every odd against me, and still determined to do what I considered to be right. And so, yeah. Because I don't plan on being poor. So.
Right. That's right. Starts in the mind.
You gotta remind people,
Last question for you. So fill in the blank. I wish my dad did more of blank.
The first word that comes to mind is fathering. All of the things that I would think of, all of the things that I just said, my advice for the new father. Yeah, God bless the dead. When my father passed, he and I weren't on the best of terms. And yeah, if there was one thing that I wish I could have seen more from him was, yeah, all of that stuff that I talked about.
I agree. When my father passed, we weren't on speaking terms either, so it was kind of like struggleable for me. But what's so funny about that is I was 18 when that happens. I'm 33, so depending on what I'm doing, depending on me seeing like the girls with their dads or what I'm watching, I'll have like a small 3 minutes of grievance, and then I'll get over it. So like, it's like I kind of get like my dad joy from their dads getting joy with them. So it kind of like mellows me out. But thank you for doing this. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. As long as nobody don't know exactly who I am, and I don't have to worry about getting embarrassed.
You shouldn't be worried about getting embarrassed. I think you're a dad that discovered his way along the way, and you seem to me, always open to learning and sharing a perspective. And I think that's why your son, you know, goes out and puts himself in a situation to absorb more knowledge, because you are that example, like you said. So thank you for doing that.
You got it. Glad I could hang out. Thanks for inviting me to the cozy womb.
That's right. I invited you, but not really, but I invited you. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.